Welcome to Spectrum TV News at 4. I am Uyai Anyeka and come to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at the major stories. IGP meets PSC Chair RSA. National Human Rights Commission condemns speedy sanctions on media houses. Plus, Malaysia's parliament ends death penalty. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Thanks for joining us. First in the news this afternoon is a report that the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, today met with the new chairperson of the Police Service Commission, PSC, Solomon Arase, a former IGP. According to reports, both parties met at a PSC conference room at the Federal Secretariat Abuja, where they discussed measures to improve the mutual relationship between the NPF and the PSC, as well as identify new pathways for stronger partnership. Speaking with journalists after the meeting, IGP Baba disclosed that his visit will improve the relationship between the police and PSC, as well as enhance the security situation of the country. In another development, a Plateau High Court today, presided over by Justice M.L. Musa, has reinstated Nuhu Abok as Speaker of the Assembly. It will be recalled that Abok was impeached by the Assembly in October of 2021. However, in its judgment, the court upheld the submissions of the complainants that the impeachment was illegal and therefore null and void. The court further awarded 1.5 million naira as cost of appearance and 138,000 as cost of filing the matter against the defendants. Meanwhile, National Human Rights Commission (NHRC) has condemned the recent sanctions against some media organizations following complaints by political parties. The Commission's project coordinator Hilary Ogbonna disclosed the agency's position on the sanctions at the review of its MOVE project in Abuja today. Ogbonna explained that it was wrong, the speed with which sanctions were imposed on some television stations just 5 days after complaints were made through a petition. He added that such quick action was capable of sending the wrong signal to the public and the international community, suggesting that thorough investigations were not carried out before the sanctions were slammed. Ogbonna explained that the NHRC was not questioning the right of sister government agencies to carry out their statutory responsibilities, but said caution should be exercised when petitions written by politically exposed persons are involved. Moving on, President Muhammad Buhari, Vice President Yemir Sibacha, and the 44 ministers in the Federal Executive Council will soon start declaring their assets ahead of May 29, when their tenure will end. The Special Advisor to the Code of Conduct Bureau (CCB), Chairman on General Duties, Mustafa Musa, confirmed to newsmen that the necessary arrangements had been made for the issuance of the asset forms to the outgoing officials and their successors. Also, the outgoing presidential aide 28 state governors and their cabinet members, National Assembly and State Assembly members, and local government chairmen will equally obtain the assets declaration forms from the Code of Conduct Bureau and submit the same to the CCB in line with the 1999 Constitution. According to him, the declaration complies with the provision of the Constitution, which stipulates that all public officers shall declare their assets and liabilities on the assumption of office and at the end of their tenure of office. Musa noted that the President-elect Bola Tinubu, the Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima, and 28 incoming governors and their cabinet members, as well as the State Assembly members, have 3 months to submit their asset forms to the CCB. They are also required to state all properties and assets acquired within or outside the country, with the value of the said assets in the currency of the country where the property is situated. In a separate development, federal government says it will, in the next 1 or 2 weeks, begin the demolition of multi-billion naira private jet hangars located at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. The federal government said the hangars were obstructing the efficient use of the international wing of the airport, noting that there is a need to demolish them to pave the way for the expansion of the new international terminal built with Chinese loans at the Lagos airport. The Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, who made the notice and the government's plan known while unveiling 10 new fire tenders at the Lagos airport. At the Lagos airport, said the expansion of the new international terminal in Lagos would soon commence. According to the minister, the government agencies have been directed to come up with the documents that will make the aviation industry more efficient, adding that the paper will form part of his handover notes. Meanwhile, money borrowed by the federal government in the first quarter is reportedly more than 3.17 trillion naira. According to data by the Nation Economic Intelligence (NEI), the government had raised 3.17 trillion naira in the past 3 months through the issuance of regular bonds, retail savings bonds, and treasury bills at the domestic capital market. The data indicated a consecutive monthly increase in borrowings in the first quarter of the year, with the government raising its initial offer sizes in most instances to mop up oversubscriptions to its offers. Reports say a month-on-month breakdown showed that the government raised a total of 940.62 trillion naira in January. It increased borrowings to 1.035 trillion naira in February and closed the quarter with 1.196 trillion naira. On financial matters, the 36 state governors in Nigeria have planned to meet with officials of the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), among others, to iron out issues surrounding state security votes. The Nigeria Governors Forum (NGF), through its head, Secretary State Governor Aminu Tambuwal, who announced this, said the meeting, which was slated for Tuesday, April 4th, according to an invitation issued by the Director General of the Nigeria Governors Forum, Aishana Okaru, would be virtual to ensure full attendance by all the relevant officers in the matter. In a statement, the Director, Media and Public Affairs of the NGF, Abdul Razak Bello Bakindo, said those invited to the meeting include the EFCC, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, the Federal Inland Revenue Service, and the CBN. Bello Makindo further noted that the meeting will also consider deepening the management and expansion of the cashless policy, which took effect from the time of the redesigning of the national currency last year, to further the financial inclusion of all citizens in the ensuing scheme of things going forward. The NGF media aide maintained that the meeting was called at the instance of the Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit in its letter dated March 30, which was addressed to the chairman of the NGF and signed by the NFRU director Modibo Tuko. Away from that, the Presidential Transition Council has debunked a fake Twitter handle created by unethical persons since 2020. A statement signed by the Director Information for the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman, Presidential Transition Council, Willie Bassi, says the fake Twitter handle was created before the establishment and inauguration of the council. According to the statement, the PTC has nothing to do with the fake Twitter account handle, adding that approval for the establishment of the Presidential Transition Council was given by the President in February this year and was subsequently inaugurated by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, thereby exposing the posters irresponsible and calculated attempt to disseminate inaccurate and tainted information to unsuspecting members of the public. In another development, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project (SERP) has urged President Buhari to use his leadership position to immediately enforce the judgment by the ECOWAS Court of Justice prohibiting prosecutions of anyone on the grounds of insulting or stalking public officials online. SERAP also urged him to enforce and implement the ECOWAS Court's judgment, compelling government to respect, protect and promote freedom of expression, access to information and media freedom. In a letter signed by the organization's Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare, SERAP expressed concerns about the shrinking civic space in the country as some state governors and government institutions were reportedly using the Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act and other repressive laws to crack down on anyone seeking to assert their human rights and media freedom. On the home front, some residents of Rio, the Akwa Ibom state capital, have continued to react to the gubernatorial and state house of assembly elections that was held on Saturday, the 18th of March 2023, calling on the incoming leaders to do better in developing the state. Speaking with the correspondent Esther Otoyo, some of them, while reacting to the outcome of the election, commended the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) for their efforts in conducting a free and fair election, while others faulted INEC, saying that more needs to be done by the Commission ahead of Nigeria's next election. Others, in an interview, urged the state citizens to accept the outcome of the election and join in building the state. They also solicited the governor-elect, Pastor Umar Eno, to ensure the continuity of peace in their state.
From the last concluded election, and from the things we saw, the videos and the experiences I personally experienced, I would say the election was not fair and fair. It might have been fair and fair in some areas, but from what I experienced from my polling units and the polling unit around my area, it wasn't fair and fair at all.
I think if I must advise or say anything as an opinion to INEC, it will help a long way if during the voting process, everyone have the cubicle, only the voter with the cubicle. You don't have, nobody have access to show his voting or whoever he or she is voting for. They did well both election, but they failed us when they started giving us from the presidential, when they started telling us beavers this, beavers that, network this and that and so on. I think they failed because a lot of people didn't come out again during the governorship election, and I think it's because they don't trust the process.
We move now to Africa, where Rwandan President Paul Kagame has been re-elected the chairman of the ruling party, Rwandan Patriotic Front, at the party's 16th Congress. Reports say the Rwandan leader got 2,999 votes, accounting for 99.8% of the total vote, while his closest contender, Abdul Karim Haralimana got 3 votes, or 0.2%. Kagame, Rwanda's president for 22 years, will now serve another 5 years as head of the Rwandan Patriotic Front, the political party he has led since 1998. Meanwhile, South Africa's main opposition party, the Democratic Alliance (DA), re-elected John Steenhuisen as its leader as it campaigns to unseat the ruling African National Congress (ANC) in next year's national elections. Steenhuisen garnered 83% of the votes to beat his opponent, former Johannesburg Executive Mayor Mfo Falsi, who only obtained 17%. In his acceptance speech, Steenhuisen said the DA will work with other like-minded parties ahead of the 2024 elections. The re-elected leader took over the reins of the party in November of 2019 following the resignation of the then DA leader Musi Mamene. He will lead the party for the next 3 years. On the foreign scene, Finland's flag will be hoisted outside NATO headquarters tomorrow when it becomes the newest member of the Western Alliance. Russian President Vladimir Putin is all-out invasion of Ukraine last year upended European security and pushed Finland and its neighbor Sweden to drop decades of non-alignment and seek to join NATO's protective umbrella. Objections from Turkey and Hungary held up Helsinki's bid for months and are still blocking Stockholm before the parliament in Ankara cleared the final obstacle for Finland with a vote last week. According to reports, completing the ratification in well under a year still makes this the fastest membership process in the alliance's recent history.
This is a historic week. Tomorrow we will welcome Finland as the 31st member of NATO, making Finland safer and our alliance stronger. We will raise the Finnish flag for the first time here at the NATO headquarters.
Still on the foreign scene, Malaysia's lower house today approved legal reforms to abolish the mandatory death penalty for some offences. The amendments would be applicable to 34 offences currently punishable by death. This also includes murder and drug trafficking, while 11 of them carry it as a mandatory punishment. Meanwhile, the country has had a moratorium on execution since 2018, but courts have continued to send inmates to death row. However, alternatives to the existing death penalty include whipping and imprisonment of 30 to 40 years. Still to come in the news. Djokovic tops ATP rankings. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned, and now to the rest of the news. In business, the country's external reserves has fallen by $1.46 billion between January and March, according to figures obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria's CBN data on movement of external reserves. The reserves, which stood at $36.99 billion as at the end of January 2023, fell to $35.53 billion as at the end of March 2023. The CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele attributed the decline in the external reserves to the fall in crude oil price, noting that the marginal decline in the level of gross external reserves, which is a decrease of 0.7%, reflects the downtrend in crude oil prices as global uncertainties persist. Recall that in 2022, the CBN launched a program tagged RT200 FX program to boost forex supply in the country through the non-oil sector in the next 3 to 5 years. Still in business, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, referred to as OPEC Plus, has announced voluntary cuts to their production of crude oil, amounting to about 1.15 million barrels per day (BPD), calling it a precautionary measure aimed at market stability. Reports say in October, OPEC Plus, which comprises the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and 10 allies led by Russia, agreed on output cuts of 2 billion BPD from November, noting that members of the 23-nation oil cartel are expected to stick to their already agreed 2 million BPD cuts when their ministerial panel, which includes Saudi Arabia and Russia, meets virtually today. Meanwhile, the United States had argued that the world needed lower prices to support economic growth and prevent Russian President Vladimir Putin from earning more revenues to fund the war in Ukraine. In health, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors (NARD) has urged the incoming administration of President-elect Bola Tinubu to increase funding for health. The association's national president, Dr. Innocent Oji, made the call in an interview in Abuja, stating that the increase should be to at least 15% of the nation's yearly budget, in line with the Abuja Declaration of 2001. Oji noted that NARD members are expecting improved remuneration to tackle the increasing economic hardship and dwindling naira value, adding that some doctors were still being owed several months of salaries and allowances, especially in the state tertiary health institutions. He urged the government to give priority attention to training both within and outside the country, with a special focus on primary health care. Still in health, medical experts have urged Nigerians to pay attention to their blood volume, stating that having a high volume of blood in the body could be dangerous. According to Johns Hopkins Medicine, a high volume of blood in the body, also called polycythemia vera, is a rare blood disorder in which there is an increase in all blood cells, particularly red blood cells, which makes the blood thicker and can lead to strokes or tissue and organ damage. The experts explained that too many red blood cells can make the blood thick and sluggish, noting that high blood volume can also cause irritating symptoms, including itching, ringing in ears, stomach ache, nosebleeds, and blurred or double vision. In sports, Newcastle United leapfrogged Manchester United into third place in the Premier League table after avenging their Carabao Cup final defeat against the Red Devils. The Magpies produced a magnificent display at a raucous St. James Park to leave their opponents without a win or a goal in their past 3 top-flight games. Newcastle were thwarted by David De Gea's excellent first-half double save, the Spaniard showing quick reactions to deny Joe Willock after clawing away Alexander Isak's header. Still in sports, Novak Djokovic returned to #1 spot in ATP rankings published today, despite missing US tournaments last month because of his lack of a COVID vaccination. Carlos Alcaraz had taken the top ranking from Djokovic after victory in Indian Wells, but the Spaniard bowed out of the semi-finals of the Miami Open on Friday to allow the Serb back for a record 380th week as number one. Djokovic has a 380-point lead over Alcaraz, with Greece's Stefanos Tsitsipas in third, more than 1,000 points behind the leading duo. Other entertainment news: street hip-hop singer Habib Akikiola, popularly known as Portable, has been granted bail by a high court in Ogun State. Reports say that Portable landed in police custody on Friday, the 31st of March 2023, after his engagement with police officers at his bar, in which one of them was allegedly injured. According to the force public relations officer Olumuyiwa Dejobi, the singer would face more than 6 charges in court. The singer, who was reportedly arraigned in court, was subsequently granted bail to the sum of 300,000 naira and provided 2 sureties with landed properties within the court vicinity. The case has been adjourned till the 26th of April for the commencement of trial. Still in entertainment, Nigerian international sensations Burna Boy, Ira Star and Victony have performed at the 2023 Dreamville Festival. The concert, which had in attendance American music superstars including Drake and Usher, was hosted by J. Cole. The Dreamville Festival in Rails, Dorothea Dix Park, North Carolina, on April 1st and 2nd, 2023. Reports say Victony performed on the first day, which was headlined by Usher, and Grammy Award winner Burna Boy delivered songs across his last album, Love Damini, among other songs, while international charting sensation Ira Star performed her hit single Rush and latest record Stability. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do well to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum TV News at 4. I am Uyai and thanks for watching, and do enjoy the rest of your evening.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyeken on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on channel 421 on StarTimes to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories, and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court, my lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in court examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.